Well, hello and welcome to episode 568 of the Plane Talking UK podcast. I'm Carlos, and in this week's show, more passengers tried to open aircraft doors, one airline is flying empty aircraft, and another airline plants its aircraft just a little bit too hard into the ground. In the military news this week, the Royal Air Force may be able to start shooting down Russian drones, and one lucky 101-year-old meets his old aircraft. So, no Nev this week. He's still sunning his bits on holiday somewhere. No Andy this week. He is flying pretend aircraft.
Sunning his bits somewhere. Yeah.
Somewhere, probably sunning his bits somewhere. So a short crew this week. So this week, joining me, it's just Matt Smith.
Hello, you're right. It's old school, isn't it? We don't mind a bit of old school, do we?
I know, it's like going back to the olden days.
I know, absolutely. We sat round your kitchen table, though you are now back in Ersham.
Well, yeah, we are. Yeah, true. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
But no, how are things in the world of Matt?
Yes, all right, thank you. Had a bit of a disaster yesterday, but we'll gloss over that and move on.
Oh no. Oh,
yes, Carlos knows. I'll perhaps tell you all in the chat room at some point.
We'll tell you in the after show.
Yeah, absolutely. yeah, indeed. An eventful evening yesterday, but thank goodness for modern technology. That's all I say. And
that's true.
Yeah,
very
absolutely.
True.
Yeah. And a man who had a very special machine that could solve it for me.
Exactly. It's always handy to have someone who's got a special machine.
Indeed, absolutely. In fact, I had them coming out of my ears at one point because you had one as well. So there we go.
Yeah, I had. Yeah, and exactly.
All will be revealed in the after party.
You can never have enough special machines. No, more on that later. Stay tuned.
Oh, really? Oh, hello.
Stay tuned. But other than that, it's been a funny old week this week. Today we've had torrential rain. Yesterday it was about 7,000 degrees Celsius. It's just the weather's gone crazy this week. We've had
very much
all kinds of things. But I tell you what, have you noticed, Matt, how it's starting to get cooler?
Oh yeah, no, very much so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, because it's like overnight and stuff, and I thought because I've been doing the radio Monday and Tuesday, like the home run, and I was looking at the times. Of course, when you do that one, you're looking at the overnight temperatures rather than when you're doing it. And it was just like, and we're like into sort of single digits now overnight, so we're at sort of 7 degrees and 9 degrees and all that.
I know.
Here comes winter.
And yet, one of the great things Matt knows with the new house that we've moved to here is the fact that we've got a wood burner in the front room, which I honestly
can you?
I cannot wait to light that thing and have wood burnery stuff going on.
Lovely, love that.
So nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I got some of those little rechargeable little mini tea light looking things with a little flickery, like a fake. Well, they were cheap. Trust me. They came from a very
Did
popular...
the shop begin with a T and end in U by any chance?
No. It began with an L and ended with an L.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Somewhere in Europe. Central
exactly.
Europe.
They have various shops, yeah. Got some of these little lights, and they flicker like a candle. I stuck those inside the wood burner the other day, and I just looked at it and I thought,
right.
I want to do that. Okay. I want that for real. I need that for real.
Well, I mean, the way the temperature's dropping, it won't be long.
No, it won't be long. I know. But this is an aviation show.
Is it?
And we need to talk about aviation. Okay. It's been actually quite a busy last weekend over here. We had lots of activity from our local parachute school, who were busy throwing people out of aircraft, which was quite entertaining, which was nice. And we also had a lot of GA aircraft around here as well. It was a nice day last weekend for flying, so it was good for that. So what we got on the show, all the news, as always. We've got some military news this week, as you'll be pleased to hear. We've got the retro airline ad of the week. This week we're going back to 1976, a year that Matt knows very well, as do I.
Yes.
And we've also got a Caption This Just for Fun picture of the week. It's back this week, and it'll be a good one for those of you. Shame Andy's not here, because he'd appreciate this week's Caption This, to be fair. But we've got lots of news to get through. So
I'm sorry, I've just taken a look at it. I know what you're talking about.
I know. If you're ready to hit that button, Matt.
Oh right. Oh sorry. Sorry. I was too busy. Here we go. Let's go.
Turn on the seatbelt light. Please take your seats and fasten your seatbelts.
And the first story this week comes to us from aviation2z.com. And the 777X will open new ultra-long airline routes, apparently. So the Boeing 777X is set to reshape long-haul aviation by combining efficiency, extended range, and passenger comfort. Now, we've talked about this aircraft on the show a few times, but it's hopefully going to be flying very soon with its folding wings. Lufthansa was the first airline, I should say, to place an order, aiming to replace its older 747 fleets with the twinjet. Airlines like Emirates, Qatar, and Etihad have followed with large commitments for the aircraft, drawn to the aircraft's ability to cut costs and open non-stop routes. The Boeing 777X family is built around two variants, the 777-9, 777-8, and the larger 777-9 will seat roughly 400 passengers in a two-class layout and fly around 7,300 nautical miles, while the smaller 777-8 can cover nearly 8,700 nautical miles. This range allows non-stop connections to Sydney and London, Doha, and to Santiago without payload restrictions. The 777X blends capacity with efficiency in a way unmatched by current wide-bodies compared to with the 777-300ER and the A350-1000. It offers more seats while consuming less fuel per passenger. That balance gives the airlines the flexibility to expand networks and protect margins in slot-constrained airports. The central feature of the 777X is its composite wing with folding wingtips and extended. It reaches a span of 71.8 metres for an improved lift-drag ratio. On the ground, the tips fold up, reducing its span to 64.8 metres, allowing the aircraft to operate as a code E-jet without requiring airport modifications. Unlike the Airbus A380, which faced infrastructure challenges, the 777X can fit seamlessly into existing 777 operations. The cabin's also been redesigned to provide a better passenger experience with larger windows, improved lighting, wider cabins. This gives airlines more flexibility in configuring seating while keeping comfort at the forefront. So the 777X is powered by the GE9X engine, which is the world's largest and most powerful commercial turbofan with a 134-inch fan diameter and a bypass ratio of 10:1. It delivers 10% fuel efficiency improvements over the old GE90 while cutting thrust-specific fuel consumption by 5% compared with other wide-bodies. The fan blades, they're made from carbon fibre composite with steel leading edges and are lighter and stronger, reducing weight and improving durability with fewer blades, 16 instead of 22, like the GE90. These advances lower maintenance costs, extend shop intervals, and help airlines reduce operating expenses while supporting sustainable aviation fuel use. Boeing secured 259 orders at its launch, making it the largest aircraft program by dollar in value history. Emirates, they've ordered 150. Qatar committed to 50. Etihad placed an order for 25. Lufthansa, they've purchased 34 of the 777-9, becoming the launch customer and signalling the end of its Boeing 747 operations when the new jets arrive. A combination of high seat count, lower costs, and longer range makes the 777X a versatile replacement for aging quad jets such as the A380 and the 747. It also strengthens airlines' fleets against rising fuel costs and environmental regulations. Now, I watched a video last night on YouTube of the 777X and its test program, and honestly, it never ceases to amaze me how gorgeous the 777X or the 777 looks. Yeah, this aircraft was first brought. The first 777 was first brought. It replaced the 767. Obviously, the 767 is still flying, but the 777 was like the new, wider, bigger version of the 767, and it just looks stunning. Me and Gemma had the chance to fly on a few 777s in our years of flying, and they are such gorgeous aircraft. Boeing have definitely made a few quid on them.
Yeah, I mean, I understand they're much preferred. I have to say, from a passenger experience, I enjoyed the 380 more.
Oh, yes, it's a slightly bigger aircraft.
Yeah, but I understand from obviously mutual friends that we've got who do work as crew on both aircraft, and they much prefer the 777 in terms of layout and things for operating service and all that kind of thing. They much prefer the 777 over the 380 for that.
The thing of it is, Matt, it's like we always say on the show, the aircraft can be as big and as long and as wide and as gorgeous as they like. But it all boils down to how the airlines configure them with seats. Because if they try and cram millions of seats into an aircraft, it's going to be a poor passenger experience.
Yeah, indeed. But at the end of the day, the bottom line doesn't necessarily. You don't really ever say in it when there's a load of bean counters making the decisions.
Not when you're in the cheap seats.
No, indeed. Which is frankly where you and I usually are. Let's be honest. Indeed.
Matt, you've got the next story. Ryanair one, and another. Honestly, we need to have a bell every time we get a story about passengers trying to open windows.
Yeah, there seems to be some kind of weird new phenomenon, doesn't it? Because I mean, I'm sure this wasn't that prolific. If we go back, say, 3 years ago on the podcast here. Hello, Alfie.
Hi, Alfie.
Yeah. Bless him. I mean, I don't remember it being such a common thing. Do you know what I mean? This does seem to be a new thing. Like, recently where people are trying it. Is it because people are more aware of... Oh, I don't know. Anyway, members of... so this is a Ryanair flight.
Here we go.
Tried to
members of a what?
What? Sorry. Members of a British stag do party were removed by police from a carnage flight to Alicante after fighting in the cabin. Flight FR 9079 from Leeds Bradford to Alicante in Spain was met by the Guardia Civil on arrival at Alicante Airport on Thursday evening. That's the 4th of September. I do apologise about Alfie. According to the airline, cabin crew had called ahead for police assistance after the passengers became disruptive on board. The Guardia Civil boarded the Boeing 737-800 aircraft when the over 2.5-hour flight touched down at around 7:22 p.m. and the 2 passengers were removed. Video footage shows local police officers wrestling a man off the aircraft as passengers shouted several expletives that I'm not going to bother reading. It involved getting him off the plane, let's put it that way. One passenger told The Sun that the men, part of a stag party, had seemed drunk since boarding at Leeds Airport. They claimed that they were getting rowdy and leery towards the end of the flight, and the crew called ahead for police backup. Everyone was fed up with them by the end. It was carnage. A Ryanair spokesperson said that Ryanair has a strict zero-tolerance policy towards passenger misconduct and will continue to take decisive action to combat unruly passenger behaviour, ensuring that all passengers and crew travel in a respectful and stress-free environment without unnecessary disruption. You know,
there's a couple of very good points in the chat room, Matt. One from Mazouz. He says, think of what they'd be like on a 15-hour flight.
I mean, probably by the end of it, heavily sedated. Well, yeah, true, yeah. Yeah, diverted to the nearest airport and offloaded, I suspect, in a... Because they can do that, can't they? They can offload. They can divert and offload in a, with the local authorities if if it's causing a threat to everybody else on board. It's definitely the way forward.
Alan White says there should be an option to purchase discounted rates when booking Ryanair to have police waiting on arrival.
Discounts for who?
I don't know. Discounts for everyone, I think.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I don't think long flights would be the way forward. But the problem is, you see, Matt, when you get on these long flights, you get all this free booze and alcohol still.
Well, you don't, though, do you?
You do. And at Emirates, you do. I always have a little tipple when I'm on an Emirates flight. On that, yes.
I had loads of. Mind you, I weren't feeling it not because I wasn't having a bad. Not because I was having a beer? Bad flight or anything. No, I didn't have a beer or anything. I did have lots of soft drinks and water. Because I wanted to have a bit of a clear head, because I knew I was going to arrive essentially and have to try and do a whole day before going to bed. So,
yeah.
Indeed.
Right, moving on. Next story. This is we're going from drinking alcohol. Now this is a completely flip story.
Yeah.
This is at ftnews.com, and a new rule requires free water for airline passengers, but in Turkey. Turkey's General Directorate of Civil Aviation has mandated that all airline companies operating in the country must provide at least 200 millilitres of free drinking water to each passenger on all flights, regardless of duration. The new regulation announced by the Transport Ministry of Infrastructure, the Minister Akdabullah, well, that's a big name he's got there, begins with U. It aims to enhance passenger health, comfort, and international service standards. The directive applies to all airlines carrying passengers within and from Turkey and takes effect immediately. He emphasised that dehydration, especially during the summer months on flights with insufficient cabin ventilation, can lead to serious health issues such as headaches, reduced concentration, and medical emergencies. As part of the instructions sent by the General Directorate of Civil Aviation to all airlines carrying passengers, it will be mandated for each passenger to be provided with at least 200 millilitres of free drinking water for the duration of the flight. The flight durations will not be taken into account under the new regulation. The regulation is part of broader efforts to align Turkey's aviation services with international best practices. He highlighted at a meeting, passengers' basic needs, such as access to drinking water, is considered a standard business responsibility in global aviation operations. Ugrola says that the decision is not only a public health measure, but also a way to boost Turkey's standing in the international aviation community. Offering free drinking water to passengers will increase passenger satisfaction and the international reputation of our business, he said. The new requirements is expected to have an immediate operational impact on both domestic and international carriers operating in Turkey. Airlines will need to adapt their onboard service procedures to comply with the updated civil aviation guidelines. The regulation stipulates that the free water provision applies to all flights regardless of length. This means that even short-haul domestic routes must comply with the new mandate, reinforcing the ministry's focus on uniform passenger service standards across the board. It's a good idea. I mean, a lot of the airlines, when you fly long haul, you tend to get a bottle of a little bottle of water anyway, given to you. I've had it many times before. There's only the short haul carriers in the UK, I suppose, such as Ryanair, as the chat room's pointed out. Ryanair, EasyJet, where you do have to purchase.
I don't mind that, but I do think if you're going to be buying water, that you should be able to buy it at a not exorbitant price.
Yeah, that is true.
I don't have an issue with paying for water because it is bottled and all that kind of thing. I don't have an issue with that. But I don't think they should be making a disgusting profit on it.
No.
It should be like €1 for a bottle. Do you know what I mean? And be done with it. Which is what it used to be for years. To be fair, wasn't it? But. Yeah,
Richard Adams is saying 200 millilitres isn't much. I don't know what that is.
No, it's not. No.
Half a litre?
Not very much. No,
not even half a litre.
Half a litre is 500. So
okay, so it's a small bottle then, isn't it? Of water. Yeah,
tiny. Toothful, as they say.
I'm always being told off by Gemma for not drinking enough water. I get that every day.
Yeah, I usually go through three water bottles during my day. So
blimey.
Yeah.
I'm not good.
No.
Oh dear.
I got fed up with the headaches, mate. That's why I started just making sure I'm not back. Then there is, especially when you're an elder gentleman, there is a knock-on effect of that, obviously. Indeed, it's they're definitely much more sensible.
Matt, you've got the next story, and yes, it's all about flying empty planes.
Indeed. So the source on this one is paddle your own canoe. I
know, it's so funny.
It can't be a genuine. Anyway, by the way, it must. Well, I mean, they seem to do a lot of aviation stories these days. American Airline plans to fly empty plane back and forth across the Atlantic 40 times. It's not ideal for one's carbon footprint, is it? American Airlines is planning to operate an Airbus A350-1000, which can usually carry 190 passengers completely empty, up to 40 times back and forth across the Atlantic Ocean on a 2,909 nautical mile journey that will take an estimated 6 hours to fly in either direction. The reason for the gas-guzzling journey is so that American Airlines can train pilots ahead of the launch of the carrier's new single-aisle transatlantic flights, which are set to get underway as early as March 2026. American Airlines plans to fly empty planes across the Atlantic between Philadelphia and Edinburgh in the United Kingdom, were revealed by aviation insider Exlon NYC on X and Blue Sky, who discovered the carrier planned to operate the flights every day between September the 4th and September the 26th, 2025. The airline is using the same brand new Airbus A350-1000 for this mission as it clocks in the air miles before returning to its day job as a domestically configured aircraft crisscrossing the United States. Using the special flight number AA9805, the aircraft is scheduled to part to Philadelphia at 8:40 p.m. and arrive in Edinburgh the following day at 8:30 a.m. The return flight then departs just an hour later at 9:30 a.m. operating as flight AA9806 back to Philadelphia. The outbound flight can be completed in around 6 hours, but due to jet winds, the return flight is currently taking nearly 7.5 hours. This is all in preparation for the entry into service of the A321XLR, the next generation of the A321 designed specifically for long-haul flights and able to fly for up to 11 hours with a maximum range of 4,700 nautical miles. Now, I do get why we need to do this. I don't have an issue with that. But surely, I mean, these are qualified pilots, aren't they? Can they not be operating some form of service? Even if it's a reduced service. It just seems such a waste.
Apparently, according to John Jester, these are called proving runs. They are required for the FAA to grant authorization for the operation.
Oh, okay.
So there is a reason behind it, but it always makes me. But when we have stories like this before on the show, not very often, but we have them before. You know, if you're going to fly empty aircraft around, just send an email out to all us aviation enthusiasts to come and have a free flight.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. You know, and even if you have to sign a little waiver that sort of says, you know, and perhaps you could go there for the weekend or something. You know, so you could get, sort of travel up to Edinburgh, then go over to Philadelphia for a, because they're coming back the following day, aren't they? So there's plenty of services and stuff. Yeah. You know, I mean, even if you can't take money from it, it just seems such a waste not to, you probably have to sign a waiver that says you enter the aircraft at your own risk or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
You'd think that the airlines would want to make a few quid out of this, even though they've got to run these. But I expect there are rules and regulations to say that because it's a proving flight, a training flight, they can't carry fare-paying passengers. But yeah, I think enthusiast flights, they should, Going to say hello to David Michael in the chat room. It's David Kavanagh from Adelaide, Australia, saying hi before he heads off for a drink. Currently holidaying in my second home of Malta.
Australia to Malta.
Hello, David.
Wow. Love that.
Oh, I'm not jealous at all, David. That is...
You'll be back there soon enough, don't you worry.
Well, I won't. Gemma's off there in a few weeks' time.
Ah, love that for her. Is she going with the girls?
She's going with the girls.
Lovely. Excellent.
Leaving me here. Mind you, I'm here with the boys somehow.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Yeah, absolutely.
Dave and Nigel will be with me on the bed, bless them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Leaving fur piles and...
Absolutely. And you wouldn't have it any other
mice.
way. Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Maybe not the mice, but...
not the mice.
The fur balls, yeah, fair enough.
Mazouz apparently is... Mazouz is also in Malta. Just going to point that out.
Is everybody in Malta?
Just to say, Mazouz, our listener Mazouz, is in Malta, tucking into an octopus steak in Salima.
Oh, hello. Ooh, I've never had an octopus face. That doesn't strike me as something that you'd eat, to be fair, Carlos.
Octopus is lovely.
Oh, really? I'd have thought that was a bit too fancy pants for you.
No, octopus is lovely. They normally serve that as, when you go in a pub in the UK and you get a bowl of nuts while you're having your pint. They bring you free nuts out. At some of the bars and pubs in Malta, when you're having a pint and having a chat with your friends and stuff, they'll bring out a bowl with octopus tentacles in.
Do you mean calamari? Is that what you actually mean?
Oh no, they're octopus.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh, with the suckers and everything.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
I'm out. Oh dear, never mind.
Anyway, just before we move on, anyone else in Malta in the chat room, just to upset me even more. Thank you.
Richard Adams says you're a sucker for octopus, by the way, just saying.
Oh, blimey. Right, moving on to the next story from CBC.ca. A, and we've got hopefully, I think Mate's got the video for this somewhere.
Possibly.
Or play it, hopefully. Now you've probably seen this one on social media this week. It made social media quite heavily, and not just the aircraft itself. WestJet aircraft from Toronto makes a hard landing at Saint Martin. So a WestJet aircraft operating from Toronto made a hard landing. That's definitely what it made at an airport in the Caribbean country of Saint Martin, the airline said on Sunday. And Matt's got all the pictures of this particular aircraft's damage, which some of you may have seen on social media. I know some of these are from the investigation side of things. WestJet said there were no reported injuries. This time they said they're awaiting confirmation on the exact nature of the incident. WestJet said in a statement, noting its cooperation with the local authorities. The teams are focused on supporting guests and crew, ensuring their safety and care.
I think that was a very hard landing, looking at the state of that. My God.
Yes, the airport said on social media there were 164 passengers on board the 737 that said the plane did not catch fire, and confirmed there were no injuries, but noted that 3 people were taken for medical evaluation as a priority. Now, for those of you who may have seen the pictures on social media, will note that the left or right hand side, I should say, landing gear, depends which way you look at the aircraft, has not only been hit hard, but has also been forced through the wing to poke out the top of the wing. I think Matt showed the picture on there just a second ago, where you can actually see the top half of the wing. It's actually the gear itself is pushed, through the top of the wing itself. Hello, Dave. But it's safe to say that it had a very hard landing indeed. Now, I don't know whether you got the video or did I not put it in?
Yeah, no, I've got the video. Yeah.
Oh, you got the video.
I'm still cycling through the video. So on the screen at the moment is the video that you were describing with that right. If you're looking at it from the tail down towards the front, the right-hand wing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks almost like it's sort of hanging on by a thread. Do you know what I mean? Because it's severely buckled. If you look at the YouTube stream, I can't get the... I might be able to send it. Sorry, I've got a couple of technical problems in the studio, so I haven't been able to send you.
This reminds me
your usual feed. Let me try that. See if that fires up. Give it a second.
This reminds me of the BA 777 that crashed at Heathrow many years ago.
Right.
Where it landed quite heavily and pushed the main gear through the top of the wing.
Has that worked? Have you got that picture now?
I've got the picture, yeah. I've got the picture there. Yeah, there is a video that accompanies on there. Yeah. But
I've got 3 more pictures. Keep talking.
Look at that. Look, there we go. I'll tell you what. One thing to note that I don't know whether this is after the event, but one thing to note is that it's safe to say that WestJet could have jet washed the aircraft, because it's that trailing edge of the wing looks absolutely covered in.
Is that not because of the incident, though?
It may have been because of the incident. I don't know, but it just seems like old. But you can see the gear is in quite a bad way.
Yeah,
and the landing was definitely heavy.
Here we go.
Alan White says in the chat room, he says that is a phone call that you do not want to have to make to your ops department.
No, indeed.
So yeah,
there we go. Here's the video now.
Yeah, the video you're watching on YouTube now, you'll see the 737 coming in to land at Saint Martin, and if you watch, you can just see as the video zooms in that it's a fairly robust.
I wouldn't say it was that bad a landing, though, was it? What have I missed?
I don't know whether it's the speed of the video or whatever it's been filmed, but it seems to me like he was coming in fairly hot.
Right, okay.
Fairly fast. It might just be the way the video.
Run it back.
There we go. You watch the right hand side. If you see,
he sort of bounced on the right hand edge there, but I don't know. It doesn't look like that bad a landing. I mean, it was landed on one gear, and I know that ideally both of them would come down at the same time. I know.
Yeah, Richard Adams has said in the chat room, looked a bit fast.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, this is why I'm not an expert. You see, this is the
Yeah, this it was a heavy old landing, safe to say. I mean, that aircraft will probably be repaired, but
do you not think that'd be a write-off, given that the wing is
it
virtually
depends.
separated from the
I
aircraft?
didn't actually see to look what age the aircraft is, but
Yeah.
yeah, be interesting to see what they do with that aircraft. But you've also got to remember: is it in a country with facilities to repair? That's the other thing they need to look at as well.
Yeah.
Alan White is back, or he's followed up with the answer. That's a very light touchdown for a Ryanair aircraft.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. That's why, having been on many of those, where essentially I've landed and my spine has gone through my throat. Yeah, yeah.
So I just look at Nigel.
Okay,
Yeah, it's an interesting video. Yeah, it's yeah. There'll be a few questions to be answered on that for sure.
Yeah.
Matt,
a lot of paperwork, I think.
A lot of paperwork, yeah. Now this next story I found this week on the list, it's quite sad because I remember seeing the videos online of this with said movie star, and it was in such good condition. But
Yeah. Guess you have to look after it, don't you? That's the trouble. So it's supercarblondie.com is the source on this one. And the headline is Sad Fate of John Travolta's iconic Qantas Boeing 707 with its tail rotting away in abandoned warehouse's car parking lot. So John Travolta's iconic Qantas Boeing 707 has been spotted lying in a parking lot with its tail rotting away. The Boeing 707-138 Bravo model, which sports the tail number November 707 Juliet Tango, was built back in the 1960s. It served the Australian airline Qantas for years and still held on to the airline's livery even after it was retired. Hollywood star Travolta snapped it up in 1998 and used it to fly himself and his family around. When he's not appearing on the big screen, Grease star John Travolta is a keen aviation enthusiast. In addition to having his pilot's license, Travolta also has an impressive fleet of planes. Until relatively recently, one of the highlights of the fleet was Travolta's iconic Qantas Boeing 707. The star even once revealed the interesting story of how he got his hands on it. Travolta flew the plane for years, but in 2017, the plane was grounded for essential works. According to reports, the plane was stored in Brunswick in Georgia. However, the essential maintenance work was never carried out. It remained grounded ever since. Sadly, the once legendary Qantas plane was recently spotted by a pilot who was using the airport where it's stored. He snapped a quick photo of the plane and shared it to Reddit, where he explained that it had been left with its tail rotting away at an abandoned warehouse parking lot. They recently cut the tail off the plane a couple of months ago, which is now sitting on wooden pallets in an abandoned warehouse parking lot rotting away, the pilot wrote. I spotted it from the air the other day and had to get a photo of it. Sad fate for such an iconic aircraft. But all is not lost because there is light at the end of the tunnel for the plane. However, it's while Travolta's iconic Qantas Boeing 707 has very obviously seen better days, it's not the end for the aircraft. Around the time it was grounded, Travolta decided to donate it to the Historical Aircraft Restoration Society Museum in Australia. Back in April, Haas Museum posted on Facebook to say that November 707 Juliet Tango is being carefully disassembled to be shipped to Haas at Albion Park. Despite all our efforts, doing the required maintenance on site has proved not to be practical, and so once it arrives at the museum, it'll be put back together and maintained by our engineers here. The post continued. Will it be airworthy again? We will just have to see how far we can go. In an update from June, Haas revealed that it was in the process of being shipped piece by piece, with more expected to land in the coming months. Here's hoping the team from Haas can work its magic and give the iconic aircraft the restoration it deserves.
Now I know you've got the pictures of this aircraft, Matt. Now
Yes, indeed.
I was looking online at some videos from when John Travolta was actually flying this. He used to take his family on this aircraft as well.
Yeah,
it's quite a thing, and he had his own landing strip. He had his own, he's got a massive house where he has his aircraft. But it's a shame that this aircraft has got to this stage, and there's a lot of hoo-ha online, social media. A lot of people having a go and say, "Oh, it shouldn't be," But what a lot of people, well, our listeners will realise is that maintaining an aircraft of this age, with those engines and with all the regulations, etc., come with having an aircraft of this age, it costs more than £5.
Well, and also, I mean, let's use the recent example that we know of with Armando and him winning a plane. He'd have absolutely loved to have hung on to that plane without question, but you do have to have that awkward conversation about maintaining the damn thing, and that's an aircraft that's not very old. And the costs are the hangarage costs alone are eye-watering to Mr. Joe Bloggs. So I totally get it.
Yeah, this aircraft, obviously, as you said in the story, Matt, it's built back in the 1960s. It's an old aircraft. Takes a lot to maintain and also fly this aircraft with the fuel and stuff. It's not a cheap thing to do, but it would be nice if they do. Obviously take this apart as best they can, take it to the museum there, the Haas Museum there, and put it all back together and have it as an exhibit. I think it would be a shame if they didn't complete that work.
Agreed.
Right, next story, and it is a aerospace testing international.com. Boeing completes 777-9 brake testing after a 63-day campaign. Now, Matt's got a little video to play out with this as well. Boeing completed a dry runway brake certification testing for the 777-9 after a 63-day campaign in Oklahoma. And the test program, which concluded in May, took more than double the original forecast time due to stringent wind limitations and severe weather conditions, including thunderstorms and hail. The team conducted the tests at Clinton Sherman, Oklahoma, using WH-001, the first 777-9 flight test aircraft to demonstrate brake wheel performance under extreme conditions for certification credit. They said, we test the extremes that we know where the boundaries are for the aircraft and to make sure the aircraft meets our expectations and the expectations of the regulators, said Heather Ross, the 777-9 project pilot. The testing required specific conditions, including wind speeds below 10 knots, or 12 miles per hour, and complete dry runways to ensure data focus solely on brake performance without external influences. Weather conditions forced the team to change the testing schedule when high winds prevented the brake testing in Oklahoma. The aircraft flew to Lubbock, Texas to conduct crosswind testing instead. And on 2 occasions, the team relocated the aircraft to avoid potential hail damage from severe storms. They said the analysis team had given us really tight wind limitations, so the data we collected focuses on the brake's performance, not other influencing factors, explained Madison Strauss, the flight testing engineer, test director at Boeing. If the winds exceed the particular parameters on a day, they can't do the test. The remote testing operation required coordination between teams in Oklahoma and Seattle, and maintenance crews operated 24 hours daily in 12-hour shifts, while instrumentation engineers ensured the continuous equipment availability to the test program. So, Boeing is continuing the 777-9 test program with ice formation simulation on wings and other services, followed by a wet runway brake performance evaluation. The 777-9 is expected to enter service next year after several delays. The team never gave up, said Terry Beeshold, the 777-9 vice president and general manager at Boeing, and demonstrated impressive resolve and tenacity as they fought for every last test point. He said they'd be so proud of the team and what they have accomplished. Now, on that video you shoot a moment ago, Matt, one of the things that I loved seeing, when it's just weird, these things entertain me,
go on.
is on that video you played, Matt, there's where they land and then they lock the brakes up and the wheels lock up on the main gear, the main bogie gear. And then you see the aircraft, when you brake in a car and the sort of front end of the car sort of dips down on the suspension. If you watch, you'll see how the struts compress on the main gear when those wheels stop. You just watch the video there. And it's just incredible to see that level of engineering on those main gear and the bogies where the wheels are.
Clever, isn't it?
If you see, and obviously to watch the wheels lock up as well, because it just proves that these brakes really do break.
Yeah, don't they? Don't they just? Yeah.
But it does look fantastic.
Doesn't
so
it?
good. Right, Matt, you've got the next story and a bit of a techie style one for you.
Yeah, okie dokie. We're looking then at was it Aircraft Interiors International.com is the source on this one, and Southwest Airline partners with T-Mobile for free in-flight Wi-Fi. Ooh. Southwest Airlines has entered into a partnership with T-Mobile to deliver free unlimited Wi-Fi for all its Rapid Rewards members beginning on the 24th of October 2025. This deal marks the first collaboration between Southwest and T-Mobile, which has an advanced 4G LTE and 5G network in the USA. With more than 800 aircraft in its fleet, Southwest says it will be the largest domestic airline to implement free Wi-Fi on every flight this year. All Southwest Rapid Rewards members, regardless of their wireless provider, will be able to access free Wi-Fi for the duration of their flight. We're teaming up with Southwest to make staying connected in the air easier for millions of travellers, says Mike Katz, President of Marketing Strategy and Products at T-Mobile. We're excited for Rapid Rewards members to experience free in-flight Wi-Fi from takeoff to landing. No strings and no surprises. The contract follows a recent test by Southwest of offering fleet-wide Wi-Fi to Rapid Rewards members. The airline reported that the results showed a strong customer satisfaction score from those customers who used free Wi-Fi. Customers can sign up for a free Rapid Rewards account prior to their flight or while in flight to receive the free Wi-Fi service. I love this idea. I'm going to be a bit controversial here. I rather like it when
What's
you have
that?
to. Well, yeah, I don't mind paying for it. And do you know why?
Wi-Fi.
Yeah. And do you know why? Because it means that those who pay for it get a decent service, because not everybody is using it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
if it's free, everyone's going to be
everybody's going to be jumping on it. And as a result of that, I was able to listen to my favourite radio DJ, Mr. Mr. John O'Able, while flying back from Armando's. Just listening to the breakfast show on the way back to Heathrow, and it dropped out once the entire flight. You know,
I'm going to shock you here.
Oh,
I didn't even realise T-Mobile was still going.
yeah. So it is. It was rebranded here. Basically, it was rebranded here as EE, wasn't it? Because it was
okay.
Yeah, so EE who or I should say BT bought it, and then it's now BTEE, isn't it? But T-Mobile, the rest of Europe and the States has existed. It never went anywhere, if you see what I mean.
David Bone in the chat room, Matt, says he agrees paying for it would actually be a lot better.
Yeah, I think so. I just think, as I say, that's the thing. It was just like, and it wasn't silly expensive. I think it was about, I want to say it was like $25, maybe $30. So it was a bit of a test to how much you wanted it, I think, because you think, and I thought, do you know what? No, actually, I would love to be on a plane, and I only did it because I wanted to be able to send Mr. Abel pictures of me listening to him in the air, and it was still to this day, I think, one of the coolest things I've ever done. To be at 30,000 feet. And listening to Park Radio, I just every fibre of my being was melting with excitement over the fact that that's even vaguely possible. You know,
I'd be on Flight Radar 24.
Why? You're on the damn plane. Look at the on-screen
Oh yeah, but that's rubbish. I want to look on Flight Radar 24 and go, that's me. That's me on Flight Radar 24.
All right.
How cool is that?
And if nothing else, you'd be able to work out what the delay is between your real-time thing. Yeah. I mean, in fact, I'm amazed you haven't worked that out, Carlos, Mr. Nerd. You'll do that on your next flight.
Next time long haul. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, short haul will do it as well, won't it? Oh, I see.
Sure.
But you won't necessarily have service, though.
Depends what airline. You don't get Wi-Fi.
You won't get Wi-Fi. Do you not?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Well, it depends how high they fly. You might get 4 or 5G if they fly below 10,000 feet, I suppose. Okay. But yeah. Right. Next story is, This is from AOL.co.uk. And this
Speaking
broke
of
this
things
week.
that I thought had died.
Yeah.
AOL.
Exactly, yeah. AOL. A man has been arrested after what emergency services described as a potential hazardous materials incident at Heathrow, which saw Nev's beloved Terminal 4 terminal evacuated this week. The check-in area of the terminal was also closed in the incident on Monday after around 20 people reported injuries. The Metropolitan Police confirmed in an update on yesterday, that a canister of what is believed to be CS spray was discovered in a police... I mean, who takes CS spray in the hand luggage?
It's unusual. It's an unusual packing
Really?
choice, certainly.
Police reported injuries were a result of irritation caused by the spray. No joke. On Tuesday, a 57-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of possession of a firearm and CS, which is classed as CS spray, and causing a public nuisance.
You think?
A Met spokesperson said that on Monday, the 8th of September, at 16:56 hours, police were called to a potential hazardous materials incident at Heathrow Airport Terminal 4. Specialist officers attended the scene alongside the London Fire Brigade and ambulance service and conducted a thorough search of the area. Following the search, Met officers located a canister of what was believed to be CS spray. It is thought the substance caused a reaction to those at the airport. Around 20 people reported to paramedics after the irritation caused by the CS spray. It had been confirmed that the spray did not cause any life-changing or threatening injuries. Following an urgent inquiries, a 57-year-old man was arrested on suspicion of possession of the firearm, classed as CS spray, causing the public nuisance. He remains in police custody. The incident is not being treated, though, as a terrorism incident or related incident, and the investigation remains ongoing. And Richard Adams says in the chat room, CS doesn't injure, just makes you cough, plus it stings your eyes and any other damp bits, he says.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not the first thing that I put in the hand luggage when I'm going on board.
No, I'd like to think that's quite common that you wouldn't do that. Yeah.
I mean, the taser gun, but not CS gas.
Sure.
Anyway.
Sure.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like I've got a taser.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. Last story for you, Matt. Good news for Airbus and Qatar.
Indeed, yes. So the headline is Airbus delivered its 100th A350-1000 aircraft in August. The honour went to Qatar Airways. The source is airdatanews.com. And it's Airbus marked the delivery of its 100th A350-1000 aircraft with the handover of the jet registered as Alpha 7 Alpha Oscar Echo to Qatar Airways on the 13th of August. The Middle Eastern carrier was also the launch customer for the A350-1000, receiving the very first unit on the 20th of February 2018. According to the Airbus, the A350-1000 fleet has now accumulated over 1.7 million flight hours, operating on more than 220 routes and transporting 59 million passengers globally. The aircraft is a stretched version of the A350-900 and is typically configured with 375 to 400 seats, though it can accommodate up to 480 passengers in high-density layouts. Measuring 73.78 metres in length, the 64.75 metres in wingspan and 17.8 metres in height, the A350-1000 is among the largest twin-engine wide-body jets in service. It is powered by Rolls-Royce Trent XWB-97 engines and offers a maximum range of 9,000 nautical miles. That is 16,700 kilometres. The aircraft type is also the basis for the A350-1000 ultra-long range. Blimey, ordered by Qantas for the Sunrise project, which will enable non-stop flights between the southeastern Australia and destinations such as New York or London. In the market, the A350-1000's main competitor is the Boeing 777X, which is scheduled to enter service in 2026. As of August, Airbus has received 361 orders for the A350-1000 and delivered 101 units, with the 101st first aircraft going to Etihad Airways. There we are.
You know, I've done my own work. I thought I'd be interested to see just how much one of these aircraft are to buy, the 350-1000. And we all know, we've talked about this on the show a million times, we all know that airlines
never pay the list price.
Never pay the list price because, you know, you buy, it's buy 9, get 1 free. But the list price for the 350-1000, according to Airbus, is... are you ready, Matt?
Yeah, go on.
You got the checkbook ready?
Yeah.
$355 million.
Gosh, we'll need a few more Patreon contributors, I think, before we can go down that route.
But what a phenomenal... I mean, obviously, like we said, they don't pay that price, but I'd imagine they don't get, like, a massive discount off that.
Yeah, they might get $1 million off or something.
Or
you know what I mean?
million or $2 million off. But yeah, even, $350 million.
Although I'm very excited to see what the 777X is going to be able to pull off.
Yeah, 777X list price.
Yeah. Well, no, I was thinking more the distance.
Distance. Yeah.
Because you think, well, the A350-1000, that's a pretty impressive
that is a
distance,
9,000,
isn't it? You know, I mean, I think that's a very impressive number. I mean, yeah.
It just means, Matt, you'll be able to fly for longer. Even longer.
Yeah, no, I get that. But if you're not a big fan, you see, this is the weird thing for me.
Of economy?
No. Well, yeah. The thing for me is being a nervous flyer. It's not actually the in-flight bit that's the problem. It's the going up and coming back down. So actually, for me, going to Australia in one hit would suit me better than, doing it in 2 or 3 sectors, if you see what I mean. I guess that doesn't make any sense to anyone other than me, but there we go.
Boeing 777-9 has a typical range of 13,500 kilometres. It's a little less. Less.
Yes, okay, fair enough, yeah. Airbus for the win, then. Yeah.
Just looking at the list price, I'm intrigued now. I've just looked up that. I'm going to look at the list price. Oh, my word.
Okay. Is it a healthy number?
List price for a 777-9, according to Boeing's website, currently sits at $442 million.
Wow, you're paying for
You can see why airlines hire or rent or lease aircraft.
Yeah, especially on routes perhaps they're not sure about. Indeed.
God, that's a lot of money. A
frightening number, isn't it?
Right, that is commercial news wrapped up for this week. And coming up next, we have got, Never's usually introducing this next part of the show, but coming up next, it is a favourite of many of you listeners out there. It is where we go back to look at what adverts were like back in the olden days. And this year, or this week, I should say, this week, we go back to the glorious year that was 1976, and to a time where flying was better at the speed of sound, with an airline whose slogan was, "While British Airways flies the flag around the world, Britain pride flies with it. We'll take more care of you." Matt, hit the button.
This is a rather proud time for us all. With this great aircraft, British Airways will now fly supersonically to the United States. Yes, in British Airways, we do have the world's largest international airline. A rather incredible achievement when you think about it. British Airways flies the flag to 6 continents, 164 destinations in 78 countries, over 100 million miles a year. And now there's Concorde, joining together 2 of the world's great capital cities. You can now fly from London to Washington in less than 4 hours. While British Airways flies the flag around the world, Britain's pride flies with it. British Airways is our airline. Fly the flag. The best of Britain goes with you.
See, now I'm absolutely convinced that that's the voice of Bagpuss, just saying.
You're not wrong there.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just it blows my mind to think that it's that long ago that BA started flying, Concorde.
And yet, weirdly, we're now in a scenario where there is still no
replacement
for going what is it, Mach 4, was it? No, Mach 1.
Mach 1, well, yeah, nearly Mach 2,
they just literally broke the sound barrier, didn't they, essentially?
Yeah, Darren Smith says in the chat room, Concorde, so ahead of its time, and yet in the 21st century, they still cannot replace it.
No, it's bonkers, isn't it, really?
Yeah. But very nice. The one good thing, though, Matt, is the fact that we've still got the Concorde around. You can still go and visit the Concorde, walk on board the Concorde, but not to fly.
I still think.
But at least they're not chopped them up.
No. Well, I think they're too iconic for that, aren't they? Although,
oh God, yeah,
we've heard many a horror story about the one that is essentially rotting away at
Heathrow. Yeah,
I mean that is a concern, I think, really. But I mean, is there a reason? I mean, why? I know they were an old airframe, but surely there must be something they can do to. I just can't believe they didn't keep one flying. Do you know what I mean?
Darren's asking in the chat room, Matt, would you fly on Concorde if it was still about? You would.
The answer is yes, but because it is such an iconic aircraft. I mean, ironically, having been on one that had the seats and stuff in it, it didn't look particularly comfortable, if I'm brutally honest with you.
They are small.
And as a shall we say, a slightly larger gentleman, I don't know how comfortable I would be, but there is one amongst our group who can proudly say that he has flown on Concorde.
Nev has, yeah.
And that is a mantle that I think many of us would like to sort of have under our wings. So,
Bill in the chat room says it's not flying because of the damn lawyers. Yes, yes,
that's probably true.
That and the awful crash, obviously in France, did not help.
No, I mean but there'd been conversations about retiring it prior to that. I think that was just the final nail in the coffin, wasn't it? Essentially, but
Mazouz. Before we move on, Mazouz has topped all the questions in the chat room tonight with one for you, Matt, that says, "Would Matt skydive from Concorde?" I mean, there are a few technical
I don't know
issues.
where to begin. Say
with that prospect.
What's this thing about opening a door? I might does it. Well, to be fair, if you got me really drunk and I went with a stag party, I might give it a go.
He'd be opening doors everywhere on that flight, honestly. Anyway, right, moving on. The next part of the show, we've got another interview or another piece from the Bray Air Show to bring you this week. And this week, Lieutenant Cayman Row is a helicopter pilot and officer in the Irish Air Corps who is currently serving as the Air Corps' press officer. He's known for his role in the 2022 Air Corps centenary celebrations and has a notably family connection to the military aviation, tracing his great-grandfather back to the Royal Flying Corps. I spoke to him on the Irish Air Corps stand at the Bray Air Show this year. And Matt, hit the button.
So I'm here right on the seafront here at Bray with a great air show, great weather, and joining me here, Cayman Row. Welcome, Cayman.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it's great to be here. We have the full Air Corps detachment here today with a myriad of aircraft displaying. So we're delighted to be here. Plenty of interest, and we're happy to discuss plenty of career opportunities as well to the general public. So no, it's a great day.
So Cayman, tell me a bit about yourself. Where did you start with aviation? Where did it all start with you? Because you're obviously young. You're young. You're still young.
I'd like to think so. So I joined the Air Corps back in 2017 as a cadet, and so I would have entered through the pilot cadet program. Okay, and that's it's the only program available if you want to be a pilot in the Air Corps. So 2017, I would have done my initial military basic training in the Curragh camp in County Kildare. And following that, we'd return to Baldonnel in Casement Aerodrome and we'd conduct our aeronautical studies, so all our ground school subjects, so the likes of air law, meteorology, instrumentation, human factors, those kinds of things. Following that then, I started my flying training. So I had the unique opportunity of conducting my flying training in the States. So we went over, we flew the Grob G120 TP and the Cessna 172, and that was essentially our first aircraft that we flew. We returned to Casement Aerodrome then and flew the Pilatus PC-9M. We did approximately 15 flights, and that qualified us as a military pilot. So myself and my other classmates then were qualified, and then we branched off into various units around the Air Corps. So be it fixed wing, remaining fixed wing, or transitioning to a rotary wing. In my case, I decided to flip sides, and I started the helicopter conversion course in 2022, I believe it was, and currently flying the AW139 aircraft. And that's my story to date.
Preference between fixed wing or rotary, what is it for you? I know obviously you're flying the 139.
That's it, I'm going to be quite biased, so of course it's going to be rotary wing, but I suppose the unique opportunity with the Air Corps is every pilot gets the opportunity to fly fixed wing first. They get to make the decision then, look, do I want to stay here or do I want to move? So look, I've flown both and I can safely say I'm fairly happy with the helicopter route.
You think you'll stay with that route?
I think so, for the time being.
So tell us a bit of history about the Air Corps.
Absolutely. So I suppose if you could trace our roots back to the beginning of military aviation in Ireland, we'd be looking at around 1922. So Michael Collins, Irish revolutionary soldier, politician, and he was Commander-in-Chief of the National Army at the time. So he was doing treaty talks in London in 1922, and a biplane was purchased in the event that the talks would have failed in order to get him back to Ireland. So I suppose that kind of marks the beginning of military aviation. And from then the organisation grew. It became an air service headquarters in June 1922. At that stage we would have had 14 pilots and 13 aircraft, so quite a small scale operation, and from then it expanded. Another notable point which kind of put the Air Corps and Casement Aerodrome on the map was a flight from east to west across the Atlantic in an aircraft called the Bremen. What was special about that flight was it was the first east-to-west crossing by air, and it took off from Casement Aerodrome. And there was Air Corps Commandant James Fitzmaurice, who was a crew on that aircraft. And that really kind of set the tone, put Casement Aerodrome on the map from then on. And the Air Corps has only expanded ever since, and we celebrated our centenary there in 2022, just a number of years ago, which was a massive celebration. So that kind of brings us up to now, where we have a growing fleet of aircraft. We have more aircraft on the way. We have 4 new H145M helicopters due for delivery in 2027. We have a Falcon 6X due now in the end of this year. So things are looking up for the organisation for sure, yeah.
So with the Air Corps, is it kind of the younger generation coming out of school and then going into the Air Corps? Do you find there's people, I'm 50 next year, sort of older people can join up with the Air Corps. Is there an age limit? What is the age limit?
Yeah, so the age limit was increased recently. It was 26, and I believe it's now up to 39. So it has increased, and yeah, look, we have plenty of applicants that apply straight after school, and we also have applicants that would have, say, finished school, gone off and done a college degree, and then returned back. And yeah, look, we accept anyone, both school and post-college. There's a terms and conditions document that's generally released each year that outlines the requirements for entry into the Air Corps. So things like educational requirements and health requirements and things like that. But no, to answer your question, yeah, we get a lot of applicants post-leaving cert here. 100%.
The requirements for someone who's leaving school, say a young person leaving school, how stringent are the requirements? Is there kind of grades that you have to have, or any particular qualifications?
Yeah, so there are grade requirements, and they do change from year to year, so I'd be hesitant to kind of list them here. However, what I will say is that it's very achievable, and we get a large number of people that come post-leaving cert, and maybe someone that might not have been happy with their leaving cert that decides to go off and do a college degree. That changes the entry requirements again. The fact that you have a college degree, there's different conditions associated with that, so there wouldn't be an emphasis on leaving cert results because of that, if that makes sense. So no, look, it's very achievable for anyone that would consider a post-leaving cert, and I'd say to anyone that's thinking about it, don't get too caught up in the grades, but just make sure you work hard during school, and it'll all work out.
Progression-wise, so someone who leaves school, joins the Air Corps, and then where do they start and where can they progress to? Is there like a progression kind of through the Corps?
Yeah, I suppose if you want to bring it down to its basic form, we have the rank structure in the Air Corps. So if we look at it from a pilot cadet route, they'll start as a cadet. and they'll do their military training as a cadet. They'll do a portion of their academics, again as a cadet. And then in recent years, we've had cadets then become commissioned as second lieutenants and full lieutenants, and they'll commence their flying training then. And that's really the tone of the progression. They'll start their flying career, and as they go and transition into the various units, there'll be opportunities for promotion then as they progress.
So what rank are you yourself, Cayman? You're captain. Wow. Okay, so your next progression would be?
To be commandant, so probably a few years away from me now.
But is that where you're aiming to?
Absolutely, yeah. No, 100%. You know, it's a great organisation to be in, and it's got a very bright future right now. So, no, 100%. That'll be the next step for me. You know.
Well, all the best on that. Going on to the aircraft you fly, the Augusta Western 139. What's it like to fly?
It's an incredible machine. First thing I'd say is it's got plenty of power. So I came from the Airbus AC-135, a little bit of a smaller aircraft. Had a max all-up mass of just under 3 tons. So now with the 139, that's increased to 6,400 kilos. So quite a substantial difference there. Wonderful aircraft. We had a fantastic display here earlier on, which showed the kind of dynamic manoeuvres that it's capable of. So very enjoyable aircraft to fly, and very operational as well. We make great use of it in the Air Corps, from HEMS, looking at aeromedical types of missions. We work a lot with special forces, aerial firefighting. That's just to name a few of the different operations that we do. So overall, very capable aircraft. Very happy to be flying it.
So the aircraft itself can be configured to kind of do whatever role you want it to within that scope?
Absolutely, yeah. It's very configurable. So we can change from an air ambulance configuration with a stretcher and a life port in the back. In a matter of minutes, we can configure it for Bambi bucket operations, cargo slinging, fast roping with our special forces. And it's very versatile aircraft. And we like to think of our aircraft as Swiss Army knives, capable of plenty of different ops. So, very versatile overall. Yeah.
Is there any aircraft within the Air Corps that you don't fly but you would like to fly?
That's a dangerous question to ask, and a couple of my colleagues now would be listening very closely. But to be honest, I'm very happy where I am. So before I joined, I would have loved the idea of flying aeromedical missions, and the 139 is an aircraft perfectly suited to that. So for me, I'm right where I want to be. But look, I think there's no bad options in the Air Corps, so I'll take whatever I get.
Excellent. So we can start the wrap up, Cayman. It's been lovely to talk to you, by the way, about this. Fascinating. Where can, obviously we do have Irish listeners who watch the show. For them listeners who might want to find out more about the Air Corps and how they can join, is there a website, a social media? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose for keeping up to date with what we're doing, we have a few social media accounts, so Instagram, Facebook and Twitter, and we're quite active on them, and we like to put out engaging content and videos of the different types of exercises and operations that we're doing. Aside from that, if you're looking for more information, we have the website military.ie, and on that you can find all of the recruitment information for the various career options, not just for pilots but also for maintenance personnel, so aircraft maintenance technicians, and also general service recruitment. And there's plenty of different roles associated with that, anything from photography, driving, chefs, firefighting, the list goes on and on. So there's kind of a job or a role for everyone, and we'd highly encourage everyone to check out the website, and you'll get all the information you need on that.
We always say, we love talking to the pilots. You guys, you do an amazing job, but it's also the engineers who do an important job as well. I think it's one of the things that is missed sometimes, where we always talk about the pilots but not about the guys who maintain the aircraft, but that's an important part of what you do as well. Absolutely.
The aircraft don't fly unless we have them properly maintained, and our team of technicians are exceptional. And we've a great relationship between the technicians and pilots and everyone else that works in the Air Corps. So no, the mission can't get done without them, and we're very thankful for all the work that they do and providing us with a fantastic display here with all the various aircraft that we had participating.
One last question for you, Cayman, that we always ask when we talk to pilots and aviation people on the show. If you could go, let's just say Western. We were at Western Airport this morning. If you could go up to Western Airport now jump into any aircraft you wished, whether it be retired, still flying, military, GA, commercial airliner, whatever, you had a choice, and it would be there waiting for you now. What would it be?
It's a very good question. I'd probably have to go with a Black Hawk. I'm reaching high here now, but it's an incredible aircraft. I've seen it up close a few times. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to fly in one, even in the back yet. So maybe someday, we'll see.
Well, Cayman, thanks for talking to us on the show today and taking time out of your day. Much appreciated. Great show as well. You guys have done an absolutely fantastic job here. So well done on that. And all the best for the future.
Thanks very much. Great to have be on the show and discuss different career opportunities in the Air Corps. So thanks for having me. Thank you.
What a lovely interview. What a lovely guy as well.
I know, that was so nice to speak to him, and I'm going to thank Lieutenant Cayman Row as well, because we kind of loitered on their stand for quite a while,
right? Yeah,
using it as a kind
like
of
you.
I know, but it was a nice stand.
Did you like fleece them for teas and coffees as well?
No. We sort of took up a little area just on the corner.
I wouldn't
of
have
the,
put that past you. Just saying, you've got form for it.
But no, it was great to speak to Cayman Row. He was a lovely chap as well, and you know, he's so young, but he's had such an awesome career.
Oh, wait.
Really
age is not important, is it? You know, it's you know, it's life experience, isn't it? At the end of the day.
I also want to thank as well, going back to the Bray Air show, Alan White for setting up that interview for us as well, because Alan, honestly, all the literally every single bit of content we got from the Bray Air show was given to
orchestrated
by Alan White. So thanks again to Alan for that as well. Absolute legend.
Love that.
Right, it's a time for some military news. Don't forget, we've got our captionist back after this, but it's time for some military news. So, Matt, have you got the grey button to hand?
Bogies 135, 50, Angel 16, heading 340. Okay. 108 bogies.
And the first story this week comes to us from inews.co.uk, and this one came out today in the old news feeds. Royal Air Force jets could shoot down Russian drones over Poland. So British fighter jets could be called upon to shoot down Russian drones if Moscow repeat an incursion into NATO airspace, MPs have been told. The Royal Air Force Typhoons form part of a rotation with other NATO allies to protect Polish airspace from any violation during the Ukraine conflict. They finished their last rotation just 6 weeks ago, but MOD officials suggested they could return to Poland under plans to bolster Poland's defence after NATO jets shot down Russian drones in Polish airspace overnight on Tuesday this week. Shadow Defence Secretary James Cartledge told the Commons it was sobering to think that had the incident happened a few weeks ago, it would have involved British jets engaging with Russia's military. Defence Minister Alistair Cairns said the UK was already ramping up the British defence industry to deal with potential existential crisis. And Cairns added for 24 years in the military, he said, I've never seen it so fractious or fragile particularly as it is today. He said, and I think it's on all of us to make sure the population understands the risk in the geopolitical environment that surrounds us and gives us our standard of living that we have here in the UK. Tuesday night's incursion by Moscow into Polish airspace triggered a joint response from NATO countries involving Dutch F-35 shooting down the drones, Italian aircraft involved in refuelling, and German support on the ground. During an urgent question in the Commons, Cartledge said, we understand that the Dutch F-35s were directly involved in supporting the Polish military response and that fighters from other NATO nations may have been scrambled. So, honestly, Matt, it's enough scary, isn't it? All this stuff. You see it on the news every day.
Yeah. To be honest with you, it's one of the many reasons why I have to be honest, I really don't watch much news.
Watch the news, yeah.
To be honest with you, myself and Mum, we tend to watch virtually everything through streaming services, and there are literally only a handful of TV programmes that we now watch on what I call a linear service. So I'm embarrassed to say that one of them is the Great British Bake Off.
Good.
We have to watch that on
Beautiful.
a Tuesday when it comes out. We can't wait in case somebody tells us in the office. And a bit of sport. I love me F1, and myself and my friend quite often sit down and watch that together, and we'll watch that live and stuff. And Mum loves a rugby. And a bit of cricket as well, and that's really the only things that we watch live. So, I don't know.
Bill makes a good point in the chat room, Matt. Says the problem with the news is there's nothing seems to be, or nothing. There doesn't seem to be anything positive.
Yeah, and gone are the days because you used to have. Do you remember? You always used to have that lovely little "and finally" story at the end.
Yeah.
Of,
What we've got one. You mean?
Yeah. Oh, have we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah. You say you used to get the old "and finally," but sometimes there's so much like awful stuff like going in the pre to it. It's just like, oh, I can't. So yeah, I have to confess. Although I to be honest with you, I get a lot of my news from like my various social feeds and stuff. It tends to pop up on there now, and also in my case, I do have the old BBC News app that give me a ping notification. I know you have Sky, don't you?
Sky.
You have it's just a different service, sort of peddling the same information. So, sort of when prime ministers have been ousted and things like that, I'm sort of up to date on that. But to be honest with you, that 2 or 3 line headline is enough for me.
Yeah.
That's enough. I'm not. I don't like. And again with this one here saying about the thing where they said they shot down a couple of Russian drones over Poland, and I think the other little couple of lines sort of said about how it was big meetings are taking place essentially to discuss how they respond to it. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. That was it. That's all I needed to know. That was enough for that. You just think so aware of what's going on, but I don't need the rest.
It's gone on for too long, and it needs to be over. That's what I'm going to say. And move on.
Yeah, I don't think it's as easy as that, though, is it? That's the problem.
As Matt alluded to, we have got an "and finally" story in the military this week. And this is a lovely story, Matt.
Indeed, absolutely. BBC.co.uk is the source for this. I will try and pop up the picture when I can. It's a bit tricky when I'm the one pressing the button, but we'll see what we can do to try and do that. RAF veteran reunites with aircraft after 80 years. A 101-year-old veteran has been reunited with a type of plane he maintained during World War II. Norman Brown joined the Royal Air Force as a mechanic at 18 and was sent to South Africa, where he looked after the Avro Anson, a plane used for crew training. Of the almost 11,000 Avro Ansons that were built, only one remains flight-worthy and is privately owned in the Czech Republic. The aircraft was flown to Duxford's Battle of Britain air show in Cambridgeshire on Sunday to be reunited with Mr. Brown, who last saw it back in 1945. When asked if he imagined seeing the plane again, he replied, "No, and I didn't imagine I would get to be this old." 80 years ago, and all the pleasure to see it again. Mr. Brown has lived in Cambridge since the 1970s, but is originally from Newcastle upon Tyne. His job during his 5 years with the RAF was to check everything before the planes went up, keeping a keen eye out for any leaks, loose nuts or cracks in the airframe. He said he remembered seeing them fly around Table Mountain in Cape Town during training and enjoyed his time in South Africa. Neil Brown said that his dad was one of the first air cadets in the UK at around 14 years old and went straight into the RAF at 18 during the conflict. Anson pilot Richard Santos says coming to Duxford was always a special occasion, and meeting veterans like Mr. Brown was an especially great moment. It's an honour to fly the plane, he said. It's the only one flying it in the world, so we have to take special care of it and make sure that we don't do any harm to it. The air show at Duxford marked the 85th anniversary of the Battle of Britain, a series of game-changing battles in World War II fought entirely in the air. It also paid tribute to the late John Allman Paddy Hemingway, the last surviving Battle of Britain pilot who died in March, aged 105. What a wonderful picture. What a wonderful story. And I'm so pleased that Duxford is where they they sort of put it all together, if you like.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that they were willing to fly over the sea, basically, and bring it to Duxford. It's, just round the corner from him, basically. It's it would probably taken him less than half an hour to get there from Cambridge. Oh, love it. What a brilliant story. Love that.
And we say it all the time on the show, but honestly, if any of the listeners have not yet visited Duxford, the Imperial War Museum at Duxford in Cambridge, you need to go. It is just a phenomenal museum.
Well, I mean, you and I are still members, aren't we?
We are.
Absolutely.
It's just incredible. It is absolutely. And if you're going to go there, and again, we have said this many times on the show, if you're going to go
set aside a date. Yeah.
You need a day. You need a day from the minute those gates open to the minute they close to look at every single thing they have there on display. It is such a great museum.
When I go with my friend, whenever he's here in the UK, we and it ends up with a Stansted layover. That's almost always where we go. That's why he and I have both got subscriptions to it, and we'll go and do our hangar. And then go and have coffee and all that kind of thing. It's I love it. Anyway, sorry, it's starting to sound like an advert now.
I know. It's always as well. It's a little top tip for you. It's always good to go towards the end of the year to Duxford, because that's when all the flying display aircraft, the World War II aircraft, are all having their maintenance and servicing done. And the Sally B as well, which has its full strip down over the winter months.
Oh, and you get to see literally the nuts and bolts of it.
Well, you do. You get to see all the nuts and bolts of the aircraft. It is absolutely incredible. So, it's well worth a visit. Yeah.
No, completely agree with you on that one.
Right, it's back this week. We've not had it for a while, but it's back. Caption this just for fun pick of the week. Caught some of you by surprise because we normally have a flood of volunteers for the Caption this picture, but we only had a few this week. But I have got another one to pop up on the social medias for next week. Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But the picture this week. Here we go.
Ooh.
Matt will pop up on the screen, hopefully. So we had James Taylor says, beer in trouble if we try to take off with this lot.
See what you did there. Dirk says that PT UK flying, you said. Yeah, I think so.
Oh, that was definitely,
Yeah, 100%.
John Luke says, I told you to leave
I think you're saying that wrong, by the way. It should be Jean-Luc.
Jean-Luc.
Yeah, as in
he
Picard.
said, I told you to leave the Sheila's 2 bottles of sherry off the load. We are now overweight.
Yeah, that'll be what it is, Mark Heffer says, cans of helium to help shorten the takeoff run. Yeah, that would work.
I think that's more than helium in there. We've got Jason Trussell says, the new Australian flying doctor service just hasn't got off the ground yet. Their sponsorship deal with Victoria Bitter may have to be canned.
Oh, see what you did there. Multiple references there. And finally, from the ones that we received on Facebook, Richard King said, I said we'll do a barrel roll, not roll out the barrel. Cockney Keysners will get this one.
Roll out the barrel.
Yeah, all right.
Right.
All right.
So,
Lord.
In the chat room, we've got Mazeus. He says going to do some barrel rolls.
Yeah, see what we did there. Yeah. Richard E. Flagg has redacted his message. That's a shame. New plane model full of aluminium, he says.
Or aluminum, if you're in the US.
No.
Richard E. Flagg also says, in the style of a Teen Wolf. Right, he says, I said, give me a keg of beer. Now, that was probably not great.
Tanya thinks this is a great way to travel, essentially. That's her kind of flight. Yeah. Amen to that. Darren Smith is saying unruly passengers on Ryanair are now...
I think Darren's had a few.
Yeah. I think essentially what happened there is Darren started typing, then sat on the keyboard, and then finished with to fly in flying cans. Sorry.
Dirk S says Boeing 737 keg 10.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Mazeus. Matt Smith will love the one from Mazeus there, because you are a
Daleks off for their summer holiday again. Yeah, absolutely. Richard is saying not an ass flight, but an AA Cessna. Love that. See what it is.
Bill says taking off with a full tanker.
Yeah, full tanks.
Full
see what he did
tanker.
there. Yeah. Oh, Darren says typo.
typo.
Okay, all right.
It's a typo, Darren. All right, Darren.
All right. Sorry about that. Yeah.
I would have actually, Darren. I'd have preferred to have said I've had a few beers, but
quite absolutely.
Beer's good for you. Right, so that is it. That is a caption. It's just for fun. Thanks to everyone who volunteered their captions in for this week. Love that. And for those of you listening in the world of world of audio podcasts, that was a picture of a GA aircraft with the interior full of kegs of beer. I think you probably guessed
the lager kegs, those type, not
kegs,
ales.
yeah.
I should note. So they
you lifted a few of them.
Back in my day, yeah, absolutely, yeah. It was you'd be horrified the amount you used to have to get over your head as well, especially in the cellars.
Oh God, blimey! Yeah.
We imagine when it was the busiest pub I ever had was the Checkers. And you had to multi-stack it because you couldn't get enough beer in otherwise. We were very busy.
For the benefit of you might not know in the chat room, many years ago, our very own Matt Smith here, who's on the show with me tonight, used to run a pub.
Several pubs over the years.
I'm going to say the Duke of York because that was the most popular pub that you ran back then. I think it was like it was
where
the
you
pub.
and I met.
Yeah, it was such a good pub.
Now look at us.
Such a good pub. Now look at us. Honestly,
it's been downhill ever since, dear.
Get less for murder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, we are going to start to wrap up the show then this evening. But it's been a good show tonight. It's been good fun, isn't it?
I believe the word we're looking for there is we got away with it.
We got away with it, yeah. Well, I'm going to start this week. What I'm up to what am I up to this weekend? I'm going to have a quiet weekend this weekend, actually. For change.
Are you?
I think we've got anything planned. The usual ironing on a Sunday morning whilst listening to you on the radio, Matt. That's
love that for me. Yeah, do that.
And I don't think I'll be able to clean the cars because if the weather stays like it is now in the UK, the car's already getting a wash.
Yeah,
anyway.
the forecast is not supposed to be great.
But I will. I shall be obviously back on the radio tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing the mid-morning show.
Back in the mid-morning show.
He's our very own Alan Partridge. Yeah,
I am now.
Mid-morning matters.
Mazoos, I'm gonna kick you out of the chat room in a minute. He keeps he's
telling. Yeah, I know. Yes, you hate that, don't you?
Dear.
What was I going to say? There was something I was going to say.
What are you up to there? I mean, you're obviously on the radio again.
Yeah, back on the radio Saturday and Sunday morning. I'm doing the usual radio thing. Yeah, I think that's about it. Really, not a lot. I ain't got a lot in the calendar. I'm pleased to say I've got a sort of rare weekend.
Oh,
excellent, lovely. Your egg sandwich. We're building the new studios. The build has begun. And
so exciting.
Honestly, mate, I'm not even joking, right? Most of the parcels were delivered yesterday. Were delivered here at home, mainly because I knew Mum would be at home. And I'm not joking. Last night, when I finally sat down in my chair after the incident we'll discuss off air...
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that one. I might see if I can find them a picture for it as well. I sat down in my chair and looked over to where my mum usually sits, and I honestly, genuinely couldn't see her for the pile of boxes that were in front of me, because it's just like whole.
It's good fun.
Two studios. But it was like Christmas morning. I'm not going to lie.
No. Matt's had Christmas this year. He's not having Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not having Christmas. I've had Christmas. I got to build a new studio for my Christmas and meet Chris Moyles.
Oh dear, he's done. He's done for the year.
I'm done for the year.
Goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 2025 has not been a bad year.
Yeah. Right, social media links. Where can you gorgeous lot find out more about us? So we are on Facebook, X, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Just search for Plain Talking UK. You can email the show if you fancy that. We'd love to have an email. Someone email us. We want an email.
How quaint. Yes.
How the old school. It's like almost like a pen and scribe. Podcast at plaintalkinguk.com. The WhatsApp number, which comes through to this device I'm holding in front of me here now, with a picture of Dave and Nigel on the front, if you can see that. Mm-hmm. It's +44 744 6 975 214. That's +44 744 6 975 214. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll get notifications when Matt is pressing the live button. You can help shape the conversation of the show by joining us in the chat room. Just go to allthews.youtube.com, search for Plain Talking UK, and you can join in the fun in the chat room on a Wednesday night, 7 o'clock here, with all our regular chat room family, because they are all amazing people as well. Don't forget, on the website, you'll find details on how to become a Patreon of the the show. Thank you to all our Patreon donators and all our PayPal donators as well, who help to keep the show going every month. Thank you to you all very much indeed, because you are keeping us going here with all the tech stuff that we have to do, and there is some tech stuff involved with the putting together of the show, as Matt will find out later when he has to edit the little bit out there that went a bit funny.
Or it went totally wrong.
So thank you to all of you, and also you can find a link on there to the store as well, where you can get yourself a mug if you fancy a mug. It's Christmas is coming up. Oh dear, I just said that word. Sorry.
Way too soon for that.
There's a special time coming up soon at the end of the year.
I'm not even joking. I've already had to attend one Christmas lights meeting.
Oh no. Anyway, that's all we're going to say on the word. That's it for the show. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in tonight for the show. Been lovely to have you all on with us this evening, and also a big thank you to everyone who downloads the show as an audio podcast, because you lot are also awesome as well. So thank you for downloading the show as an audio
Jason
podcast.
Trussell is furious. He says, "Oh my God, the C word in September." I know.
Do you know, I've got to say this. I was in a shop. Not going to say which shop it was.
Oh.
A few weekends ago. So not just last weekend, but a few weekends ago, right? And they already had the stuff on a shelf.
Love that. I mean, the only thing I would say as a positive to that is at least they weren't playing Christmas music.
Oh, God, no. Blimey, no.
Anyway, sorry, carry on wrapping up.
Anyway, that's it for the show this week. Big thanks to everyone who's tuned in the chat room as always. And don't forget to join us next Wednesday. I was about to say Thursday then. Next Wednesday. Join us next Thursday. Join us next Wednesday, 7:00 here on YouTube for another fun-filled show where hopefully, fingers crossed, we will have a full team next week, all being well. I'm also in the process of getting a guest. I'm literally just waiting to hear from him now on the show. He is a captain for a very popular airline here in the UK. He's also got a sim centre just down the road from us here.
Really?
So hopefully going to be getting him on the show as well.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's an Airbus sim as well. It's very cool.
Lovely.
I've flown it. It's
where's
so good.
the invite? I was going to say, hang on. Yeah.
I know, it's good fun. I had a little play with it a while back, but
Did you now?
fingers crossed, going to get him on the show because he's got some great stories, and he's flown not just Airbus, he's also flown Boeing as well, including the 757. So very good chap to talk to. So hopefully I'll get Ian on the show very soon. But that's it for the show. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to Matt for pushing all the buttons as well this week.
Very
as
welcome.
Always. Well done. We'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great rest of the week, whatever you're up to. Stay safe, and say goodbye, Matt.
Goodbye, Matt.